Hey guys. Alright, so the video down below is from Decipher, and he just did a quick little analysis on the recent incident between SoloYaker and his local police department. Now, I'm not sure if this was his local police department or if he was out of town. Either way, he was on a fishing expedition, was open carrying. He had his rifle with him, I believe, and he also had an American flag. If you guys remember, they actually did an open carry, Decipher, SoloYaker, and I believe, if I remembering his name, it's Rambo Rob. Anyways, all three of these guys, they went down to Florida, open carried with their flags, don't tread on me flag, American flag. They got stopped by the police, and that was handled much better by those cops. They were civil. They didn't detain these guys. They didn't search them or anything like that. But these cops, and this was all caused by a very irresponsible move from the cop that's featured in the video down below. He's this big husky guy. Husky is actually kind of a generous term. He's more of like a complete fat ass. And I agree with Decipher. I mean, before he became a cop, he was probably nothing. You know, he was probably like bottom of the food chain beta male. And he's thinking like, oh, I become a cop, you know, I'm going to be like total badass. I'm going to pull my guns out on people that don't respect me and all this bullshit. And just as a little side note, I mean, a lot of us on the right, you know, we're told like, oh, we're supporters of the police state because we support police. It's like, not really. You know, we actually do have a lot of common ground with the left in the sense that, yeah, we don't think that police are good people. The arguments are a little different. The people on the right say, well, this is the reason why we need to have the Second Amendment, so we can basically defend ourselves and not have to rely on the police. Obviously, these cops have a problem with that. That's why they harass people like SoloYaker. They think, well, it's our job to protect the public, even though their track record is really poor, you know, in the vast scheme of things. I mean, you look at all these mass shootings, Las Vegas comes to mind. Their response was horrendous. I think it was like 45 minutes for the SWAT team to get to the Mandalay Bay Resort. It's just really stupid. I mean, all these people on the left that are clamoring for more gun control really just, they don't understand what kind of fire they're starting. In fact, they ought to be listening to the Jimmy Dore crowd, which is probably the most sane element of the left. They talk about how, you know, hashtag arm the poor, you know, we don't trust the cops, let's arm the poor. In a lot of ways, it's a very libertarian thing. It's a very libertarian thing coming from a socialist bent demographic. So, you know, you neoliberals on the left, I mean, either you guys are a part of the establishment or you're just shilling for the establishment. But anyways, I digress. So this is my takeaway from this whole thing. SoloYaker ought to sue this police department for harassment and infringement on his Second Amendment right. Because all he was doing was going out for a little walk with his fishing pole, his rifle, and his flag, and these cops shaked him down. And in the meantime, they're saying, oh, well, we support your Second Amendment right, as they're patting him down. I mean, it's insane. And any sane-minded individual will look at this and say, this is just straight-up police harassment. This is tyrannical. I agree with Decipher. This is completely tyrannical. I feel that all these cops that are shaking down these innocent civilians that are exercising their Second Amendment right don't realize that these guys are their biggest allies. If there were ever to be a mass shooting at a soft target, I think this guy, SoloYaker, was walking near a park with some jungle gyms or whatever. If there were to be a shooter there, well, first of all, the sight of a guy carrying a rifle with an American flag, he'd probably say, well, fuck that shit. You know, I only got a handgun. This guy's got an AR-15. I'm not going to do that. These cops don't understand that, yeah, these guys are going to be there to help you. They're not going to be there to deter you. And like I said before, it's like, why should we rely on police to take care of the bad guys when we can do it perfectly ourselves? There's so much wrong with this, and I'm really pissed off about this. This is going to happen more and more, believe it or not. I mean, this is not an isolated incident, because people are waking up. People realize that the government is kind of getting more desperate. That's why they push people like Beto O'Rourke out there to say, like, oh, you know, like, we're going to, ironically, it doesn't work for them. In fact, it's actually encouraged people to buy more guns. I'll talk about that in the second video. But, you know, they're pushing out all these politicians that are clamoring for gun control, and they're working in tandem with the legacy media. Because the legacy media comes out and they say, well, white supremacy is on the rise. Most of these mass shooters are white, which is completely false. They're a different demographic. I'll just leave it at that. If you look at all the mass shootings, like, you know, not just by the Mother Jones definition, but if you look at, you know, Parkland, you look at Sandy Hook, you look at, I mean, there's just countless examples, you know, don't even make me go down the list. But my point is, they're trying to make it sound like that mass shootings are a result of civilians having easier access to guns, which is the way it was meant to be. That's why the Second Amendment is in place. But the problem is, the more gun laws that you put in, the easier it makes for criminals to get them. Because criminals, let's just face it, I mean, they're not going to follow the law, and you're ignorant and naive if you think that's the case. In fact, it helps them out, because what happens is the black market becomes empowered by all these gun laws, as they do with stricter drug laws in certain parts of the country and the world. And then the criminals end up winning. So you kind of have to think these neoliberals and some neoconservatives that are all pushing for more gun control, you have to think that they're in bed with these criminals, which is a pretty shitty thought. It's a very scary thought. But we may have to wake up to this reality and accept that. And it's really unfortunate. So I'm glad that SoloYaker's okay. I hope he sues the balls out of these people, because they really made a big mistake. I mean, that was just a really bad mistake on their part. And that cop that had that smirk on his face, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he was just reeking of soy. I don't care if he's got a gun, man. He's a fucking soy boy with a badge and a gun. Anyways, I'm just trying to make light of it. It's a horrible situation, but I want there to be justice. And if there isn't any legal justice, then I'm sure Carpo will get these guys back. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless. Stay tuned for video number 2.